4 years ago, I started to develop a simple Q&A game. Inspired by the game of Never Have I Ever, I wanted to create a game that would help players to get to know each other. I created a prototype using React Native and implemented text-to-speech and multi-touch support of iOS, and started to play test the prototype with my relatives. The outcome is not satisfying. The gameplay experience is rather tedious and awkward. I redesigned the project several times to improve the experience by adding several minigames. Eventually, after careful consideration, I decided to postpone the project. In September 2019, during a casual conversation with one of the alumni of LCC, Mr. Jai Banak, I started to reconsider of restarting the project from my course. In November 2019, I redesigned the user interface of the game and started to use Unity and its UI framework to build the basic structure of the game. For future development, I also started to purchase the game framework such as localization, cloud networking, shader graph, local database solution, and Bluetooth near-field connection solutions. During the COVID outbreak in March 2020, I've invited Ms. Yan Pinghe and Ms. Qi Hangsun to join the project development. During our collaboration, we work remotely most of our time. We use WeChat to organize meetings from every 1 to 2 weeks, and I have been using Notion app to record and organize all the documents related to the project. During March to June, I assigned tasks such as concept art design and 3D modeling to the teammates, and started to focus on the other tasks of creating the game, including but not limited to searching for business opportunities, project management, game design, programming, video post-production, and other tasks. With the main objective of participating competition, we joined the awards such as DNAD, the Rockies, and the Indie Game Peach. The result of the competition were not satisfying. During June, we started to adjust the concept art and game system design. During the restructuring of the project, I continued to invite Mr. Ziheng Qian of LCC MA Sound Arts and Mr. Zhou Wang of CSM MA 3D Animation joining the team. At the end of September, due to the pressure of their final project and other factors, Ms. Qi Hangsun and Ms. Yan Pinghe decided to leave the team. During October to November, I started to resist on developing the project and started to think about creating a new project as my final project. After coaching session from our course leader and friends, I started to work on the game in December. I lowered my expectation for the project, adjust the strategy of the development, and continue to work with Mr. Ziheng Qian and Mr. Zhou Wang on finishing the first early access of the game. The original system of the game was inspired by the video games such as WarioWare and Dumb Ways to Die. Players need to work together with a constraint of 3 opportunities. After finishing 10 minigames, they will take a break and reward the player with 1 more opportunities. Most of those minigames are designed before I started the course. I organized those ideas with an evaluation framework, picked 15 out of 45 of those ideas. The original design mainly focused on the matchmaking mechanism. Most of the multiplayer games nowadays feature one-button matchmaking system. This is a convenient design for playing with anonymous players, but iClickU is about establishing relationship between players. Therefore, I started to think about how to prioritize matching friends but strangers during matchmaking. During our team discussion in March, we started to develop an idea of cosmic system of the game. We developed the idea of Heartisan, destiny planets, and different planets representing different types of relationship, including friendship, kinship, and romantic relationships. My teammates are heavy gamers of Animal Crossing and Sky Children of the Light. After thinking of the sustainability of playing minigames, which player might get bored of playing minigames repeatedly, we decided to eliminate the idea of free lives limits and focus on rewarding the players to win the games by collaboration. We created various types of flowers to represent different types of relationship. While players work together to win the game, they will harvest plastic flowers in exchange of different types of flower seeds. Player can create their own planets, plant and harvest flowers and use them to create different types of items and accessories. In August, I started to concern about the game system is losing its focus on its goal, to establish relationship between players. During this period, I also started to read books related to social psychology. I started to develop the idea of virtual party. Instead of creating the plant harvest craft system like other existing games, I decided to redesign the Destiny planets, where we can simulate players hanging out together. Instead of walking on the planets freely, the system will organize your friends in order. You will meet your closest friend after you launch the game, and you will meet strangers while walking further. To further help players establishing relationship, I started to develop the idea of creating a journal system to record how players develop their friendship, and a narrative system which emerge events in random occasion while players are hanging out together. But I decided to postpone working on these ideas. To develop this project, I will need to face a lot of different challenges. Due to my long-term practice as a programmer, technical challenges is not the biggest concern. Creating 3D elements is not my strongest suit. My team is not the most talented 3D creators as well. While we are creating those 3D assets, we made a lot of mistakes such as object access and scale sizes. But I do appreciate the rusty and immature aesthetic of our game. The most difficult part is creating Heartisan the character. Due to the structure of this character, there is no head and no body of this character. With helps from Mr. Zhou Wang, we created a rigid version of the Heartisan. The final version is not perfect, but it's working. We established a trusting relationship of developing this project. The most important part of the game is cloud computing. In November 2019, I purchased the Proton engine to make things easier, so I can focus on designing the game but dealing with difficult challenges. I also purchased the Bluetooth communication plugins for the project, and I have finished writing parts of the code too. But I don't have sufficient resource to test and build the system. I decided to postpone my schedule to work on it too. I created a system from scratch to load minigames. In this project, every minigame is pre-compacted as a prefab object. During a game, two players will switch their specification about what kind of minigames they want to play. The system will generate those game specifications according to their preference based on their playing history. When they finish exchanging their game specification, the game will load minigames in runtime. Scene Machine improved the overall aesthetic of the game. However, it does bring new challenges and complexity to the game. To walk around the Destiny planets, I adapted solution provided by DreamTech. Instead of using traditional pathfinding solution, the main character can be moved on the spline only. During the collaboration with Mr. Zi Hengqian, we established a strong relationship while working together. We share common interests, trust each other on professionalism, and work very efficiently together. Both of us are willing to experiment, so we decided to pick the CLI middleware to implement the audio feature instead of Fmod. We spent very few efforts to adapt to the middleware. We further expand our collaboration beyond this project. I had quit using macOS for a while after starting the course, so I don't have any Mac system to deploy iOS version of the game. Due to the limitation of college macOS devices, I cannot work with Xcode with school devices as well. To fix this problem, I decided to use Unity Cloud Build as my continuous integration solution. To make the game achieve a better feedback, I purchased a plugin designed for phone vibration from the SS Store. Unfortunately, due to some bugs related to Unity, I cannot deploy the game using Unity Cloud Build. I decided to use Mackin Cloud Service to rent a Mac device to build the game instead. The original plan is to create 3 more minigames. However, due to time constraint, I did not implement most of the systems such as reward system, item system, Bluetooth matchmaking, friends matchmaking, and data encryption. But the most fundamental technical issue of the game has been resolved. I will implement those features afterwards. Although major setbacks were encountered during the development of the project, with the support of friends and mentors, the project was completed to the best of my abilities. There were many ambitious ideas for the game design. Although there was no way to complete them before deadline, however, it is still possible to see big potentials of this project. Less time and effort was spent on solving technical problems, but the outcome is satisfactory. Most of the time was spent on team collaboration, but the outcome is relatively disappointing. In conclusion, I will continue to improve my collaboration skill in the future, keep making improvements to the game, and keep marching forwards to my original goals.